Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors played a great game and beat the San Antonio Spurs, and now have a 7-6 record. But the team still has gaps to fill, and one of them is the center position, and Daniel Gafford of the Dallas Mavericks would be a great option if the Warriors can convince Dallas to make a deal. The Mavericks are expected to trade veteran talent and go all in on Cooper Flagg. The Warriors, led by a star veteran trio, are still looking to capitalize on the end of Stephen Curry's peak. Some of the youngsters in the Golden State are wearing out their welcome, and the Mavericks could offer veteran talent in exchange for promising rookies. Since their rookie season in 2023-24, neither Brandon Podziemski nor Tracy Jackson-Davis has taken the leap expected of them. In an effort to go all in, the Warriors could move on from one or both third-year players. Golden State Warriors urged to make trade. Between Al Horford's age and injury history, as well as the desperate need for veteran talent, Daniel Gafford is a clear Warriors trade target. Regardless of whether the Mavericks keep Anthony Davis or not, Gafford is expendable, and his pick-and-roll skill set would work wonders in Golden State. A healthy Gafford could certainly add a rebounding and rim-protecting presence that the Warriors still need at times, giving them an upgrade on what they thought Tracy Jackson-Davis might be for them by his third season, wrote Fansided's Peter O'Keefe on November 11. Any Golden State interest in Gafford will also be dependent on the form of Al Horford and Quinton Post, along with Jackson-Davis, who will still get an opportunity on nights when Horford is resting. A starting five of Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, Jonathan Kuminga, and Gafford would excel. Golden State would have to give up some key depth pieces, but their championship-caliber core would be cemented, and any intergenerational beef would be removed. Mock Tradeland's Warriors Daniel Gafford. Podziemski's status as a locker room favorite seems to be on the decline. Jackson-Davis, meanwhile, has been surpassed by other additions. In order to match Gafford's salary, the Warriors would have to throw in a veteran of their own, but it's certainly doable. Full mock trade details. Golden State Warriors receive Daniel Gafford. Dallas Mavericks receive Buddy Hield, Brandon Podziemski, Tracy Jackson-Davis. Jackson-Davis and Podziemski are not the long-term pieces Flagg needs, but they would bolster a fairly weak young core. The Mavericks still need a proven point guard, but once Kyrie Irving returns from injury, that problem will address itself. Of course, Dallas could flip Irving or Davis for Ja Morant or Trae Young, if they felt so inclined, or hold out and draft Darren Peterson if the lottery is friendly once again. The Warriors have very real title hopes, but their record points to them being shorthanded. For the second season in a row, expect the Dubs to make a deadline deal. Warriors got real moody on the Spurs and win. When the Warriors were on life support versus the Spurs, Moses Moody came to save the day. "We are in the second night of a back-to-back in San Antonio, body still aching from the Oklahoma City Thunder's championship-caliber beatdown 24 hours earlier. The Spurs are executing like a finely tuned machine, threatening to blow the doors off a Warriors team that had every excuse to fold. Victor Wembanyama is towering over everyone like a science experiment gone right, and the Warriors are on the brink. And there's Moses Moody, pure as Sunday morning, knocking down catch-and-shoot threes like he's been doing this his whole life. 5 for 10 from deep. 19 points. The lifeline. This is what development looks like when it finally clicks. Not the guy dribbling into contested mid-range jumpers. Not the rotational piece you're hoping finds his footing someday. This is a bona fide catch-and-shoot specialist who kept the Warriors alive when the game threatened to get ugly early. Even Sean Elliott, Spurs legend and pure shooter in his own right, couldn't help himself on the broadcast. He's got a really pure shot. Latest video from SB Nation. When a Hall of Fame caliber sniper notices your stroke, you're doing something right. The numbers tell the story of Moody's transformation into exactly what this Warriors team needs. When he catches and shoots with 0 dribbles, he's connecting on 48.3% from 3 this season. That's elite. That's Klay Thompson-light territory. When defenders give him space, 4 to 6 feet of breathing room, he's absolutely lethal at 58.6% from distance. And when the ball touches his hands for less than 2 seconds? He's knocking down 46.9% of those quick trigger attempts. This is no agenda basketball. This is sacrificial, system-oriented execution. This is exactly what the Warriors have been missing since Klay's prime years slipped away. What makes Moody's performance in San Antonio so significant isn't just the shooting percentages or the 19 points. It's the context. The Warriors were gassed, playing their second game in as many nights after getting worked by the best team in the league. They were on the road, where they've struggled all season. The Spurs crowd was hostile, their young core was buzzing with confidence, and Golden State had every reason to mail it in and chalk this up as a scheduled loss. Moody didn't let that happen. He kept them breathing. He gave Stephen Curry and the veterans a foundation to build on before that nuclear third-quarter explosion. You need guys like that. Guys who show up when the circumstances are stacked against you. Guys who don't need the ball in their hands for 8 seconds to be effective. Guys who understand their role and execute it with precision. The Warriors finally have another perimeter weapon they can trust when the game hangs in the balance on a hostile road floor. Moses Moody isn't holding this team back, folks, he's becoming part of the solution. And that pure stroke? It's keeping championship windows open just a little bit longer. Moses Moody finally delivering on the promise that kept Warriors fans patient. Moses Moody is playing with confidence? For 4 seasons, Golden State Warriors guard Moses Moody has been the epitome of the player who can be as good as he allows himself to be. He's epitomized the notion that a skilled and talented player can make a significant leap if they simply develop the confidence to take chances on offense. 5 years in, it appears as though the former lottery pick is finally realizing just how important it is to shoot through his struggles instead of being reluctant to bet on himself. Moody has jumped out to a thrilling start to the 2025-26 regular season. He's on pace to set new career best marks in points, assists, blocks, and 3-point field goals made per game, and already has 3 20-point games through 11 appearances. By comparison, Moody had 4 20-point showings in 2024-25, when he appeared in 74 games, a difference of reaching 20 and 0.5% of his showings a season ago to 27.3% in 2025-26. Beyond the numbers, Moody is allowing himself to make mistakes and holding on to his confidence after doing so. He's becoming more assertive when his shot is falling and responding to adversity by rallying instead of fading into the background. 5 years after drafting him, Moody is finally becoming the player who the Warriors and their fans always hoped he could be. Moses Moody playing with confidence he previously lacked with Warriors. Moody hasn't been perfect, shooting inefficiently at times as all players are prone to doing. He responded to a 1 of 6 showing by scoring 20 points the next time out, however, and answered a quiet 1 of 3 performance against the Indiana Pacers with arguably the best stretch of his career. Since that poor showing, Moody has averaged 16.0 points, 2.8 rebounds, 2.0 assists, 1.0 block, 1.0 steal, and 3.5 3-point field goals made on .462/.438/.882 shooting across a 6-game stretch. That 6-game run included Moody scoring 24 and 28 points on consecutive nights. What may have been oddly the most encouraging development of all, however, was when he followed those performances by shooting 1 of 9 against the Denver Nuggets. It was an objectively poor performance, but rather than going back into his shell, Moody attempted 11 shots the following night, the type of response he wouldn't have had in previous seasons. Moody has since scored 10 points in 20 minutes on 3 of 6 shooting, and 19 points in 26 minutes on 6 of 13 shooting. He's also attempted no fewer than 4 3-point field goals in any of the past 6 games, and has reached or surpassed that figure in 8 of his 11 appearances overall. For a player who has made a career out of second-guessing himself, Moody simply responding to poor shooting nights by forgetting they happened is a colossal step forward. Moses Moody has been a different player since the Jimmy Butler trade. In many ways, Moody's success in 2025-26 is a continuation of the step forward that he took after the Warriors traded for Jimmy Butler in 2024-25. He posted all 4 of his 20-point games last season after the Butler trade, for instance, and seemingly embraced a more defined role within the system. Warriors head coach Steve Kerr acknowledged as much earlier in 2025 when he praised Moody for finding the role that suited him and thriving within it. "I thought the picture became much clearer for Moses after the Butler trade," Kerr said. "The last couple years there was a clear overlap with Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses. The trade sort of solidified Moses' spot as on-ball defender, three-point shooter, playing off of other guys. I thought for the first time in his 4 years here, everything became simpler and was clarified, and he did a great job within that." If the early stages of the 2025-26 regular season have proven anything, it's that Moody is becoming more comfortable by the day with the role he's been given. Bill Simmons is off his rocker with his crazy Anthony Davis trade for the Warriors. "This is a bit too crazy. The Golden State Warriors are always in the market to trade for stars, especially as Stephen Curry remains firmly in the tail of his prime. Yet trading for Anthony Davis would be a massive move, and it certainly cannot happen by trading Jimmy Butler, as mad trade scientist Bill Simmons just cooked up. The Vultures are circling around the Dallas Mavericks right now after the in-season firing of general manager Nico Harrison. From trading away Luka Doncic to squandering role players and picks on short-sighted moves, Harrison mismanaged the Mavericks into a terrible situation. If they hadn't inexplicably won the draft lottery and added Cooper Flagg, their situation would be as bad as any team in the league. With Harrison gone, it's only a matter of time before the Mavericks begin officially shopping Anthony Davis. The 10-time All-Star is a player many teams would want, when healthy, admittedly a big if. He is a top 5 defender and a solid offensive player. Put him with a high-end offensive creator and playmaker on the perimeter and you have a really good team. The Warriors know that all too well, as Davis has been a thorn in their side at multiple stops. Their postseason losses to the Lakers over the years have come down to how impactful he has been defensively in walling off the paint and smothering the Warriors' offense. To add him to their team would be a glorious boon to their defense and overall team. Yet any trade comes with a cost, both in terms of assets and matching salary. The Warriors and Mavericks are both pressed up against their respective tax aprons, so neither team can send out more money than they take back. That requires either a third team to be involved, or a player making the same exact amount of money as Anthony Davis, down to the penny. Should the Warriors trade Jimmy Butler for Anthony Davis? Enter Jimmy Butler. The Warriors' newest star is making $54,126,450 this season, exactly 35% of the NBA's salary cap. 3 other players are making that same 35% number: Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Anthony Davis. Therefore, trading Butler for Davis would be a nice, neat 1-for-1 financial swap. That's why Bill Simmons pitched the trade on his Bill Simmons Show podcast when talking to Chuck Klosterman. The idea is that the Warriors need help at center, mostly true, and have always wanted that level of dominant two-way center, dating back to their failed swing at James Wiseman in the 2020 NBA draft. Butler has played well in Golden State, but he is not a core part of the team like Draymond Green is. The idea is intriguing enough to get some momentum going, until you step back from dreamland and consider the facts. Anthony Davis does not space the court reliably, he is due for a contract extension, and he is always injury. That's why Charles Barkley calls him street clothes. He is currently dealing with a calf injury that has held him out for weeks and likely cost Harrison his job. The Warriors with a healthy Anthony Davis in place of Jimmy Butler? Perhaps there is something there. The Warriors with an injured Davis due for a new lucrative deal? Not as enticing. And that's almost certainly what the Warriors will receive. Golden State has to prioritize every postseason that they have left with Stephen Curry playing at an All-NBA level. Adding Davis is a 50-50 proposition that they won't have him for a postseason run at all. The Warriors aren't trading for Kawhi Leonard, they aren't trading for Joel Embiid, and they aren't trading for Anthony Davis. Certainly not at the cost of Jimmy Butler. The Warriors have not been pristine coming out of the gate, but they believe they have a chance with this group. Bill Simmons needs to cool it with his crazy trade ideas. This one is not going to happen. Why Warriors benched Jonathan Kuminga for Will Richard. The Golden State Warriors have changed their starting lineup on Wednesday night. Jonathan Kuminga goes to the bench, and Will Richard comes into the first five to take on the San Antonio Spurs. It comes less than 24 hours after both Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler spoke about the Warriors needing to play for the team and not for their individual selves. It's not clear who they were talking about, but maybe this is a signal. More, a former Knicks role player owns a $10 million island. Why did the Warriors bench Jonathan Kuminga for Will Richard? The Warriors felt they needed a change after the bad vibes that came out of their Tuesday loss to the Thunder. Kuminga has been effective for much of this season, but he had fallen out of favor at the end of last year, and maybe that's happening just a tad again. Steve Kerr downplayed the chatter before the game a bit. Richard has been really solid as a rookie. He might be a better offensive connector to play with the first unit.